Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where stories of extraordinary coins take center stage. Today, we dive into the incredible journey of a humble 1-cent piece that defied the odds, crossed centuries of secrecy, and stunned the world with a value of $381 million. Sit back as we uncover a tale rich in history, intrigue, and unimaginable wealth, all sparked by a single 1995 penny. It started quietly, tucked within the dusty drawer of an old Kansas farmhouse, where retired postman Alton Reeves had spent his final years cataloging forgotten items from estate sales. A lifelong collector of stamps and small curiosities, Alton's passion had never extended to coins. And yet, fate has a peculiar way of revealing treasures to those who aren't even looking. In a small rusted tin, between dog-eared postcards and brittle concert tickets from the 1940s, lay a coin that had seen little attention since it was minted. A 1995 penny, dirty, dull, and seemingly no different from the billions of others that year. Alton, though not an expert in coinage, had a habit of looking things up. A few days after stumbling upon the coin, he ran a search out of curiosity. At first, nothing struck him as unusual. The Denver Mint struck over 7 billion 1-cent coins in 1995. But there was something peculiar about this coin's reverse. The Lincoln Memorial, usually sharp and symmetrical, looked slightly off-center, and the words above it seemed slightly misaligned. He chalked it up to wear and tear, but a nagging sensation in the back of his mind wouldn't let it go. He decided to take a photo and upload it to an online coin forum, asking if anyone had seen a similar flaw. What came next would set off a chain reaction that would change everything. Within an hour, responses flooded in. Some suggested it was a common misstrike. Others claimed it could be part of a double die error. But one user, known only as Numaseer77, sent Alton a private message asking for close-up images under high magnification. The photos were sent. And just 10 minutes later, a reply came: "You may be holding something the world thought was a myth." In the world of numismatics, myths persist. The story of the 1995 presidential proof penny was one such legend. According to long-whispered accounts, a limited batch of coins had been struck with a highly experimental die, intended not for public circulation but as a test for a commemorative series that was abruptly scrapped. Only 12 of these prototype coins were ever believed to have been minted before the project was terminated under unusual circumstances. It was said they were supposed to be destroyed. Some claimed they never existed at all. Alton, stunned and skeptical, decided it was time to seek professional appraisal. He contacted a numismatic expert named Clara Hendricks, a veteran examiner with credentials from 3 major grading companies and a reputation for exposing fraud. Clara flew in from Chicago, more out of curiosity than belief. In her decades of work, she had chased myths before, only to find cleverly altered counterfeits or exaggerated imperfections. Still, when she held Alton's coin in her hand, her silence lasted a full 3 minutes. "This isn't a double die error," she finally said, her voice slow. "It's something else." Over the next few hours, Clara ran a battery of non-invasive tests. The coin's metallic composition, its die patterns, even the slight retooling of Lincoln's profile on the obverse, all of it matched descriptions found only in classified internal memos from the U.S. Mint archives declassified just 5 years earlier. The fine details were there: the diagonal microstripes beneath Lincoln's collar, the subtle ridge embedded beneath the mint mark, even a barely visible dot engraved beneath the memorial steps, signatures of an experimental strike designed to prevent high-level counterfeiting. Clara's hands trembled as she certified the coin's authenticity. Alton Reeves had found one of the mythical 12. Possibly the only one that survived. Word traveled fast. Within days, Alton's farmhouse was surrounded by reporters, coin dealers, and historians. Offers began pouring in from collectors across the globe. One bidder from Dubai offered $10 million outright. Another, a reclusive billionaire from Singapore, proposed $35 million plus a Ferrari. But Clara, sensing the true weight of what had emerged, advised Alton to hold off and consult legal and financial protection. That's when she brought in Gabriel Trent. Gabriel was no ordinary attorney. Known in elite circles as the Vault Whisperer, he had brokered deals for private collectors and governments alike, artifacts, manuscripts, even lost Fabergé eggs. When Gabriel saw the coin, his assessment was simple. "This isn't just rare," he said. "This is dangerous." He explained that certain parties had spent decades suppressing the truth about the 1995 experimental minting project. A series of internal feuds between top-level mint directors, secret congressional disputes, and missing records hinted that the project may have been terminated due to illicit political pressure. If one of those coins resurfaced, it could trigger an avalanche of questions. Questions that powerful people might prefer remain unanswered, but Alton, never one for politics, simply wanted to know what the coin was worth. Gabriel launched a discreet international valuation campaign, keeping Alton's identity anonymous while gathering bids from only the most trustworthy collectors and institutions. Over 6 months, the offers climbed steadily, 40 million, then 75, then a jaw-dropping 120 million from a Scandinavian heritage fund. But then, unexpectedly, the Smithsonian stepped in. The institution, having learned of the coin through a quiet leak, offered something no one else had, not just money, but legacy. They proposed a permanent exhibit, the Lost Proofs, with Alton's coin as the crown jewel. They offered 150 million, lifetime access to the institution, and an annual stipend for public lectures about the coin's discovery. Alton considered it. But just days before signing, a confidential call changed everything. The call came from a retired mint director, whose voice Alton didn't recognize. The man identified himself only as Royce. He claimed to have overseen the original 1995 experiment. According to Royce, the coin Alton found was more than rare, it was evidence of a cover-up. He alleged that the prototypes were intentionally distributed in a small batch to private banks under false documentation as a test of circulation resistance and tracking via microengravings. But when 2 of those coins disappeared under suspicious circumstances, the entire program was shut down. Royce warned Alton that powerful interests might try to reclaim the coin, not legally, but forcefully. Terrified but resolved, Alton increased his security and went public. By appearing on national television, he removed the anonymity that once protected him, but it also put pressure on any shadowy forces that may have been plotting to intervene quietly. With the public watching, any wrongdoing would risk enormous scrutiny. Alton's decision split the numismatic world. Some applauded his transparency, others criticized him for jeopardizing a deal of historic proportions. But the real shock came when an anonymous bidder offered the unimaginable, $381 million. The offer was channeled through a Swiss auction house, and the identity of the bidder remained undisclosed. The transaction was set to occur in a neutral location, Zurich, under the tightest security protocols. Alton, guided by Clara and Gabriel, agreed. The sale was completed in 48 hours. The coin vanished from public view, but the legend had been immortalized. The story did not end there. With the proceeds, Alton established the Reeves Numismatic Trust, a foundation dedicated to researching hidden chapters of mint history, coin fraud prevention, and educational scholarships for historians and curators. The foundation unearthed dozens of previously unknown experimental strikes and documented cover-ups that stunned the academic world. More importantly, it inspired a generation of collectors and historians to look deeper, not just at coins, but at the stories they hold. As for the coin, its current location is a mystery. Some say it resides in a private vault in Monaco. Others whisper that it was donated anonymously to a sovereign museum under a different catalogue name. Still others claim it was melted down to erase all evidence. But wherever it is, its legacy continues to ripple across time. The 1995 1-cent coin that once passed unnoticed through vending machines and jacket pockets proved that history isn't always written in books. Sometimes, it's stamped into copper and zinc, passed from hand to hand until someone finally looks close enough to see the impossible. And in this case, that glance unlocked a fortune worth $381 million. If there's a moral to this tale, perhaps it's this: never overlook the ordinary. What seems worthless might carry a story worth more than gold. And sometimes, the tiniest coin can change everything. Thanks for tuning in again, and we'll see you in the next one, where another piece of metal might just unlock a fortune, a mystery, or both. Next, 1988 1-cent USA coin, where unbelievable coin discoveries become unforgettable legends. Today's story takes us deep into the heart of American numismatic history, where a humble 1988 1-cent coin stunned the world with a price tag of $287 million. It's not a myth, not a rumor, it's a story filled with secrecy, betrayal, obsession, and a twist so wild it could only have been forged by fate itself. Get ready to hear a tale where one small copper piece unlocked not only a fortune, but a secret that nearly vanished from American memory forever. The story begins in early spring of 2022 in Harlan County, Kentucky, a rural patch of hills and hollers where generations of coal miners once built their lives from dirt and grit. In one of the older homes on the edge of the Daniel Boone National Forest, 71-year-old Everett Clay had just finished clearing out his late brother's attic. The brother, Levi Clay, had been something of a recluse, known more for his crank radios and obsessive tinkering than for anything particularly valuable. What Everett found in those boxes was mostly scrap, bent spoons, transistor parts, and yellowing books about conspiracy theories and government codes. But at the very bottom of a taped-up coffee tin was something that caught Everett's eye. A red velvet pouch, strange for Levi, who wasn't the sentimental type. Inside, nestled like a crown jewel, was a coin. It looked like an ordinary penny, darkened from age, stamped with the year 1988. The D mint mark indicated Denver. Everett, curious more than anything, took it down to the local pawn shop to see if it might be worth a few bucks. He never made it through the front door. Outside the shop, a man in a tailored navy blue suit leaned against a black Mercedes, watching Everett closely. When Everett opened the coin pouch to inspect it again, the man walked over and introduced himself as Felix Crane, a collector of rare objects. He asked to see the penny, studied it for a full 10 seconds, then calmly offered Everett $50,000 in cash for it. On the spot, Everett, caught off guard, refused, and returned home with the coin. That night, he couldn't sleep. He turned on every light in the house, re-examined the penny under a magnifying glass, and started searching the internet. Within hours, he stumbled across obscure forum threads, some deleted, some archived, all referring to a coin known only as the Marked Phantom. The Marked Phantom was rumored to be one of 3 prototypes sent struck in 1988 with a secret design alteration, allegedly part of a failed anti-counterfeiting initiative. According to whispers from former Mint employees, these coins bore microscopic engraving on Lincoln's shoulder, nearly invisible to the naked eye, and a strange anomaly inside the memorial columns on the reverse. The engravings weren't part of the official design and weren't recorded in any government database. Even more puzzling, the alloy used in these pennies was supposedly unique, an ultra-durable copper-ceramic blend that was never approved for circulation. What Everett held in his hand might have been one of the 3 long-lost prototypes. By morning, his email inbox had exploded. His phone rang every 20 minutes. He hadn't told anyone about the coin, but somehow, the world knew. 2 days later, Everett was approached by a woman named Dr. Zoya Reed, a historical metals analyst affiliated with a private authentication firm out of New York. She asked to examine the coin. He agreed. Zoya brought a full lab setup into his kitchen: microscopes, spectrographs, X-ray fluorescence scanners. After 6 hours, she backed away from the table and whispered, "This changes everything." The coin's surface bore identifiers never before catalogued. Embedded within the coin was a microserial code etched using a laser technique unknown in the 1980s. Its magnetic properties were abnormal. But most shocking of all was what she found beneath the surface using neutron scanning: a second layer of material, A message, possibly, a sequence of numeric symbols concealed in the metal itself. Zoya explained that this coin may have been part of an ultra-classified defense initiative codenamed Operation Sentinel, which sought to embed traceable elements into currency to monitor international cash movement. The operation was dismantled in 1989 after a series of internal leaks and whistleblower threats. But evidence that the project had reached physical minting stages had never surfaced. Until now, word spread beyond collectors. Intelligence agencies started making quiet inquiries. Everett, once a retired coal truck mechanic, found himself under constant surveillance. One night, 3 men showed up at his home with federal credentials, asking to secure the coin under Title 50. Everett refused and contacted a lawyer, who connected him with an international auction liaison named Trevor Marlin. Trevor was not a stranger to handling controversial artifacts. He had facilitated the sale of priceless art looted during World War II, negotiated with private monarchies, and once sold an original Dead Sea Scroll fragment to a shadowy benefactor in Malta. When he saw Everett's coin, his reaction was immediate. If this hits the open market, the price won't just be high, it'll be historic. But before any move could be made, Everett's house was broken into. Nothing was stolen except the red velvet pouch. The coin, luckily, had already been placed in a secure vault in Lexington. The attempted theft sent a clear message. Trevor advised Everett to proceed with extreme caution. The coin was moved again, this time to a temperature-controlled vault in Zurich, and news of its potential auction was quietly leaked to an exclusive network of bidders, so exclusive, in fact, that the names were written in code and authenticated by private blockchain contracts. Among the early bidders was the Habsburg Heritage Trust, which offered $40 million. Then came the head of a South African diamond dynasty with a $62 million offer. But none came close to what happened next. A mysterious consortium calling themselves the Gaunt Ledger Group sent a digital bid through a secure node, $287 million. The coin was to be delivered under biometric clearance, and the recipient's location was to remain anonymous. But they offered a separate contract, a non-disclosure pact covering not only the coin's origin but its very existence. They didn't just want to buy the coin. They wanted to erase it from history. Trevor and Everett faced a dilemma. Accept the money and watch the coin disappear forever, or reject the offer and face more unknown threats. They turned to Zoya, who proposed a compromise: sell the physical coin, but preserve its data and images via blockchain ledger documentation that would be leaked to selected academic institutions around the world. After 2 weeks of negotiations, the deal was struck. The coin changed hands in a transaction involving 3 armored planes, 6 independent lawyers, and biometric keys held by parties on 3 continents. It was, by all metrics, the most complex coin sale in modern history. The funds were transferred to a trust managed by Everett's family. He used the money to build the Levi Clay Research Center for Hidden American Technologies, dedicated to uncovering lost, suppressed, or secret innovations buried in government archives. Within its first year, the center uncovered over 230 obscure patent filings, including early AI concepts and prototype stealth tech from the early 80s. For the coin, no one knows where it is. Some believe it was smelted and turned into an innocuous part of a machine or tool, hiding in plain sight. Others think it now resides in a subterranean vault in a Nordic data fortress, never to be seen again. But one thing is certain: it forever changed the world of currency collecting and historical investigation. The 1988 1-cent coin that started out as a rusty trinket in a tin box ended up being worth $287 million. Not just for its rarity, but for the secrets it revealed, and the secrets it took with it. And that's the story of the coin that was never supposed to exist. The coin that almost disappeared. The coin that reminded us that sometimes, the smallest objects carry the biggest truths. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Next time, we'll uncover another tale where time, money, and mystery collide in ways no one could have ever predicted. Until then, keep your eyes open. You never know what history might be hiding in your pocket. Last 1973 D1 cent USA coin. If you're here, that means you're just as curious and fascinated by the mysterious world of rare coins and untold histories as we are. Today, we are going deep into one of the most extraordinary discoveries in coin collecting history, a story that spans decades, covers secret auctions, lost prototypes, and a cent that somehow ended up being worth a staggering $178 million. You heard that right. This isn't a tale of a gold coin or a silver doubloon. It's a humble-looking 1973 D1 cent coin that turned out to be the most shocking treasure in numismatic history. The story of how it came to be, who once owned it, how it vanished, and what made it so valuable will keep you hanging on every word. So sit back and let's dive into a saga that connects Denver, Washington, D.C., a defunct mint experiment, and a family secret that was buried for over 50 years. It all begins in the spring of 1973 at the Denver Mint. On the surface, it was just another year of coin production, part of the massive machinery of American currency that kept millions of coins flowing across the country. But beneath the normalcy, there was experimentation in the air. The mint had quietly been working on a new alloy composition for the 1 cent coin. Copper prices had soared, and cost-saving measures were being explored behind closed doors. Engineers were trying out various combinations, from aluminum to bronze blends, hoping to find a new formula that would lower costs without public outcry. While many people know about the infamous 1974 aluminum cents, few know that the groundwork for those coins started in late 1972 and early 1973, including trials at the Denver Mint that were never meant to be public knowledge. The prototype coins were struck during off hours, catalogued under test batches, and officially listed as destroyed once testing ended. But in the chaos of shifts and transfers between storage vaults and melting rooms, a handful of these experimental coins evaded destruction. Some say it was an accident. Others claim it was deliberate, that someone on the inside knew the potential historical value. And among those few, one particular coin would come to be known as the Ghost of 1973, the experimental 1973 D1 cent, struck not with the standard bronze alloy, but with a unique, never-before-used compound of palladium, copper, and trace silver, made to test durability under extreme temperatures. The story might have ended there, if not for a janitor named Lester Hargrove. Lester had worked the late-night shift at the Denver Mint for over 20 years, mostly invisible to the higher-ups, sweeping floors and emptying trash. But Lester had a sharp eye. On one particular night, while sweeping under a coin press, he found a single penny that gleamed strangely under the industrial light. It felt heavier than normal. Intrigued but cautious, he slipped it into his shirt pocket and said nothing. That coin stayed in his possession for the rest of his life, tucked away in a steel tobacco tin hidden in his attic in a small town outside Boulder, Colorado. Years passed, and Lester never told a soul. He lived a quiet life, retired in 1988, and passed away in 2005. It wasn't until 2019 that the coin surfaced again, when his granddaughter, Melanie Hargrove, began sorting through old boxes after inheriting the house. Among the clutter, she found the tin. Inside were old matchbooks, buttons, war ration stamps, and at the bottom, a single 1973 D penny that looked far too shiny to have been sitting in an attic for decades. Melanie didn't think much of it at first, but when she took the coin to a local appraiser during a community antique fair, she was met with an unusually intense reaction. The appraiser's hands trembled as he examined the coin under a magnifying lens. He didn't say much, only that she should contact a professional numismatist immediately. That was the beginning of a whirlwind that would soon place Melanie at the center of a historical revelation. Experts were stunned. Initial X-ray fluorescence testing revealed that the coin contained not only copper and zinc but significant amounts of palladium, an element far too valuable and rare to be used in mint coinage, especially in the 1970s. Metallurgic analysis determined that the coin was struck with an alloy never officially recorded by the U.S. Mint. Moreover, Microscopic examination of the coin's die characteristics confirmed it was an authentic 1973 D strike from the Denver Mint. In a matter of weeks, it was declared unique. No other known 1973 D 1-cent coin with this composition existed anywhere in the world. News leaked fast, spreading across collector forums, auction houses, and eventually mainstream media. Coin World ran a full feature. Smithsonian representatives reached out. Melanie was offered immediate multi-million-dollar sums by private collectors from Hong Kong, Switzerland, and Saudi Arabia. But the biggest twist was still to come. An anonymous collector from Luxembourg, referred to only as Mr. T in all documents, contacted a private auction house in New York and placed a pre-bid of $125 million before the coin even went on public listing. The offer included a confidentiality clause and a guarantee of delivery via private armored transport. Melanie, overwhelmed but guided by a trusted legal team, declined the private offer, opting instead to place the coin in a historic one-time auction titled The Ghost Cent of 1973. Held in late 2021, the auction broke all expectations. With bidders dialing in from 6 continents, the final gavel fell at $178 million to a foundation-backed consortium representing 3 private collectors and 1 historical trust. It became the single most valuable 1-cent coin ever sold, and one of the most expensive coins in history, period. But why was it worth so much? Beyond its unique composition and rarity, the coin carried a mysterious aura. Some saw it as a relic of government secrecy, others as a symbol of American resilience during economic transition. Some collectors argued its value lay in the story it told: a working-class janitor unknowingly saving a national treasure, passing it down to a granddaughter who defied pressure to sell early and trusted her instincts. The ripple effects were wide. The U.S. Mint launched an internal audit into the 1973 D experimental strikes, uncovering long-forgotten memos and communications about metallurgical tests never disclosed to the public. It raised questions about how many other ghost coins might still be out there, forgotten in basements, buried in drawers, or lost in circulation. Today, the 1973 D 1-cent coin sits in a custom-designed vault on rotating display between 3 museums worldwide. It's insured for $300 million. Melanie Hargrove, once a barista and community college student, now serves on the board of a National Coin and Artifact Foundation, dedicating her life to promoting awareness of American currency history and the value of everyday artifacts. Collectors everywhere began paying closer attention to 1973 D cents, hoping to find another anomaly. Although no other examples with the palladium alloy have surfaced, a few unusual cents from that year have tested with minor impurities that suggest they may have come from the same batch or at least been struck on nearby equipment. The Hargrove coin, as it's now called, continues to inspire documentaries, academic papers, and an upcoming historical drama series. Yet, despite its fame and price tag, its original discoverer, Lester Hargrove, remains a mystery figure. No photos of him survive. No interviews. Only a pension record, a single janitor ID badge, and a family that never knew he held history in his pocket. What makes this story so incredible isn't just the coin itself, but everything it represents: mystery, legacy, fate, and the strange way history chooses to surface. A 1-cent coin, made in a mint that struck billions of other coins, somehow slipped through the cracks, carried in silence for decades, only to re-emerge and shake the foundations of numismatics forever. So next time you come across an old penny, especially one from 1973, take a closer look. You never know what you might be holding. And with that, we wrap up one of the most extraordinary coin stories in American history. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more real-life mysteries from the world of rare coins, stick around. There's always another forgotten treasure waiting to be uncovered, and we'll be right here to tell you all about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.